Hey everyone, I got a special guest on today's interview. We're going to be talking all about the new Southwest Virtual Airlines website with Ryan Flynn. So let's get started. Hey, what's up, Ryan? I appreciate you a lot for hopping on and answering the questions I have for you today. Let's start off with a little bit of background about Southwest Virtual Airlines, your involvement within this VA, and really how it started.
Hey, Micah, thanks for having me. Happy to answer any questions that you have today. My name is Ryan Flynn for the viewers that are listening here. I'm Southwest 1002, one of the founders of the group. You asked how we started this VA and why we started it. Well, we started in 2008, and it was to create a fun, friendly, a simple VA. There's a lot of different VAs out there, and there was a lot of different VAs out there back then. We wanted to create something that was simple. You see these other VAs and they've got check ride requirements and all these crazy requirements, and we wanted to make something that was pretty simple. Um, in Southwest being single fleet or single aircraft fleet certainly helped that. And we all had quite a bit of love for Southwest, so it seemed like a good fit. Um, we never imagined that the VA would grow to what it is today. I think when we started it in 2008, I think we had like 30 pilots within the first couple of weeks, but that's kind of where we stayed for a while. It was not, I think maybe 10 years into it, we had 500 pilots, but today we have, I think it's like 1,700 pilots or something like that. It's
Yeah,
quite a few pilots.
yeah, for real. All right, so the next question I got is how did you get into developing LUVCARS itself? And was there any inspiration behind LUVCARS 5? How did the idea come up? How did we get to where we are today with LUVCARS 5?
As far as Love Curse itself, I will give credit where it's deserved. I was a part of DeltaVA.org for a couple of years before we started Southwest Virtual, and they had an ACARS client, their DVA cars, and yeah, the inspiration for Love Cars, like we'll call it the legacy versions, were based on the Delta VA ACARS. Um, Love Cars 4, it worked. It's it had a lot of features in there in terms of the reporting and the data that it's collecting and all that. But the one thing it didn't have any of like the performance calculations, the dispatch from SimBrief. Um, you know, it 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 was good when I created it. I would say it was ahead of its time when I created it, but when we were looking at our technologies, we realized, it was time to update LoveCurse. And so yeah, LoveCurse 5 was in the making for quite a while. And honestly, most of Love Cars 5's features were driven by things I wanted to see myself, things I wanted to be able to use in the sim. I can't speak about every VA out there, but one of the important things, in my opinion, about a VA is that the senior management be active at the VA, not
Yeah,
just
100%.
participating in the community, yeah, but also being an active pilot. So not only am I a sim pilot and flying vatsim, I'm also a real pilot, so I can appreciate certain features that Love Cars can do. Whether it's looking at the weather or the performance or any of that stuff.
Right.
So those are things I wanted to see myself. So yeah, Love Cars 5 was definitely overdue since Love Cars 4 had not been updated in about 10 years. So it took about a couple of years for us to kind of get all those details together and figure out what we wanted things to look at. And this leads us into the new website because the new website is kind of in the same situation in the sense that the website, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, the current website does a lot of different things that we need it to do. It's customized specifically for Southwest, but there really hasn't been any major updates to it in a number of years. We wanted to take the same approach that we did with LoveCars 5 in the sense that look at the current website. What are things we like about it? What are things we don't like about it? What are things we wish it could do? Or can we display that data a little differently to make the user experience even better? So that was the intent behind the new website. It is very different, in my opinion, than the current website. It certainly is on the back end, and from the front end, it certainly is as well. And we took the look of Love Cars 5 because that seems to be very well received. A lot of people have complimented me on the look of LoveCars
Right.
5. So we took
Yeah.
that style and applied it to the new website. So I'm sure there's going to be people that say, hey, it looks the same. Well, that was the intent.
Yeah, so now that we're here on the new website, something I've personally noticed is it's way more modern and it's a lot cleaner. All the information is where it needs to be and it's up front, which is really nice and super helpful. If you could you talk a little bit about how it's more organized and efficient?
Yeah, we tried to have the new website very organized, or as organized as we could. So everything is really everything that you need to, get to pick your flight, get your dispatch from SimBrief, get your performance data. It's all on the website now. It's all within a button click, and it's all presented to you. In front of us right here, we have the dashboard. So we took the map from LoveCars 5. We put that on the new website. We have some quick stats up above that: total flights, hours, last flight, and the virtual pay, so the income. And then at the bottom of the page here, we have the pilots that are online and currently flying. So I'm currently flying from Midway to Boston. And then just like on LoveCars 5, you can click on the pilot's icon and you can see their track and their route that they're going to fly. And you can hover over the icons and see some quick stats about each pilot.
All right, so on the bottom of the dashboard where it shows who's actively using LoveCars 5, kind of walk me through its differences and now that it's added to the new website, what has changed?
Yeah. So on the new website, we have the map and we have the list of pilots. And if we go back to the old, and this is the dashboard, so this is what the pilot would see when they log in first time. If we go to the current website, the only way that we can really track people on the current website is if we're using LoveCars 5, you would see it on the dashboard there. Or if you go to the current website and go to online flights, you'll see the list of pilots, and then you can scroll down and see all the pilots that are online. And if we go to the home page of the Pilot Center on the current website, we see that it basically has some stats about us. So we wanted to kind of take a hybrid of a few things. We wanted to have some stats, we wanted to have the map, but we wanted to have the map like we have it in Love Cars, and then we wanted to have the list of pilots that were flying. So we kind of took different flavors or different aspects of each section and combined it to what you see here. So it's very clean, simple. We have some basic stats on top. We have the pilots that are flying in the center with the map. Like I said, the same map that's in Love Cars 5, and then we have the list of pilots who are flying below. So we took different aspects of each one and kind of combined it to what made sense and what the pilot would want to see.
Yeah, I like the fact that y'all took the map from Love Cars 5 and transferred that over and added that into the new website. I think that's pretty cool. But let's go over to the timetable and just walk me through the process of, you know, getting your flights booked for the day.
Sure. So there's a few different ways now that you can search the timetable. We have a new feature here too. You notice there's a date, a drop down for the date here. So with the timetable, we can search either the current day or in the past. The way that we have it set it up is if you want to search the timetable in the future, you actually need to use the trips feature, which we'll talk about later. So I'm just going to leave it with today's date. That's fine.
Yep.
To start the searching, we notice we have this map here, so we can click on an airport. We could like click on Minneapolis, for example. And then any legs that are in blue, those mean that we've flown them, or that means that we have flown them before. Anything in red means we have not flown that leg before. So Minneapolis to Phoenix, for example, I have not flown that leg before. And if I were to click on that Phoenix, then I have the results below. I also don't have to use the map, so I could literally just hide it. I could actually drag the results above the map,
Yeah,
and
that's
I could
really
clear
cool.
this.
The
Right.
customization is in it's yeah, that's insane. I like that a
And then
lot.
this is just like searching the timetable before, right? So you could do Boston, you could do Chicago, Cancun, right? And then we can, like before, we can say I want to search by tail number, right?
Right.
And then if once you know what flight you want to do, you can book it, and then it gets added to your calendar, or you can customize and say, you know what? I want to customize this. I don't want to fly this today. I want to fly this on Friday. I want to fly it at 7 in the morning, let's say, and then I can save that, and now it's still added to the calendar.
That's cool.
So there's a lot of different things here. And just like on the current website, we could say, you know what, I'm going to skip the booking process and I just want to go right to flying,
Right, let's go.
right? You can just dispatch it and hit yes.
All right, so let's go over to booking a flight. So whatever it may be, whatever's on the results right now for you, or maybe even you have flights already booked. But let's
Yep.
go over to the calendar and let's take a look at it and see what's new and some of the cool, unique features now that we have the new website.
All right, so I just booked that flight. We're going to the calendar. And so now this is what we see on the calendar page. So we have a list of all our different flights that we have booked. And basically what we did is we took the schedule page that was on the old website and we took the events calendar that was on the old website. Again, two different spots to see both. And we combined it into the calendar that we see on the new website. So we can quickly look and see, okay, what sort of events does the VA as a whole have? It could be a group flight, it could be a training event, town hall, it could be a staff meeting, which I guess wouldn't apply to um, the standard pilot. And then we also have our flights, our booked legs or our trips, whichever side of the feature you're using. And we can see everything on one page. So, and I think that's really good because it keeps everyone informed on what's happening at the VA. There might be an event that's going on that you're not even aware of because you never go to this page or you never went to this page. Maybe you didn't even know it was there. Um, so now in the calendar you can see everything, and then you can sort by or eliminate certain things on the calendar. So if I just want to see what events are happening at the VA without looking at my trips or booked flights, then I can toggle that off or I can toggle that back on. So I think it really keeps everyone involved, and certainly increases the exposure of the events that we have going on.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that not only are your book flights on the calendar, all sorts of events are there as well, which keeps you up to date with the VA. Because sometimes it can be hard trying to keep up with event dates and all that. So when you're able to just go to the calendar and check out time and dates for upcoming events, it's definitely a big help. So let's go check out the trips feature and see what that's all about.
Right. So the on the current website, if we go to the trips, um, we notice the look is certainly different from this compared to this, and I guess there's two different ways you can do the trips now. The first is we calling it trip assignments to mirror what it's called in the real world. Essentially, it's very similar to close my tabs here. It's similar to this, what we currently have. So basically, you come in here and you say, okay, what day do I want to start my trip? I'm going to start it tomorrow. What airport do I want to start it at? Start at? I'll say to Boston, and we want to end up in Vegas, let's say, and I want this to take 2 days, random number of legs per day, and I only want to fly the 700, let's say, and then I can hit search. And so now instead of just having this as 1 day or 2 days or whatever, or sorry, instead of having this just with the number of legs, now we can actually have it with the number of days and the number of legs per day. I could say 3 legs per day in search. And depending on what you search, results may or may not come back, and it will tell you that. You might be asking the system to do something that's unrealistic. Um, and the way that the trips feature works is you can search into the future. You cannot search into the past, right? You can't do a past trip. You can't say I want to book something for like 2 weeks ago.
Right.
And if you search the current day, what's interesting is it actually does it only as of the current time. So you see how it says no flights could be found matching the given parameters. That means that if we try to do a trip today, there's not enough time in the day today to leave Boston and to do and do 3 legs in the 700. So that's interesting. Anyway, so it's very realistic in that sense. The other part that's realistic with the trips feature on this section of it anyway is the duty period, all the legal requirements, like for duty period and things like that are built into this. So you'll never get a trip that puts you over that duty period. And make sure that you get I think it's what, 14-hour duty period, 8-hour rest. That's all built into this trips feature. So if you're someone who wants to fly like, 24 hours, like the entire day,
Right.
and you want to like not do it realistic, unfortunately, this feature only does it realistically. There is another feature of the trips, which we'll go back, that's called open time, which literally is just you search the timetable. Let's do it. We'll do it tomorrow. We'll start it in Boston. And you just basically say, I want to do Boston to Baltimore. And then from Baltimore, I'm going to do, let's say, Norfolk, and then Orlando, and then Washington. And you can just keep booking flights, like adding it to your shopping cart.
Yeah.
And that doesn't look at the duty period. That doesn't look at the rest period. That's just, you basically just want to fly. You want to fly all these flights, and then you can save it, and it will get added to the calendar here.
Oh dang. Heck yeah. So I guess we can go on to the dispatch section of the new website. And I guess for this, we can take your current flight, and or maybe we could take a flight from the timetable, or not timetable, but calendar that we probably just booked, and just walk us through the takeoff performance, landing performance. As that's a new addition. I know the old website didn't have that, so it's cool that it's now integrated into the website and also still within LC5. And then also, as a pilot, something that I've um, used and deem rather really helpful is the fact that you can change your aircraft type to match your current aircraft within the um, dispatch section of this new website. So just kind of, once again, compare and contrast. I don't even think we had a dispatch section on the old website, if I'm not mistaken. So just kind of
No, we
walk
didn't.
us. Yeah, okay, good. So yeah, just walk us through what's this all about and the customization here with sorry, not dispatch, but yeah, no, dispatch section.
Yeah, so the dispatch page is very similar to LUVCARS in the sense that all the parameters that we had with LUVCARS we have on here. The one addition would be the aircraft drop down, simply because with FSU IPC and LUVCARS we can determine which aircraft you're in based on its aircraft name. On the website, we don't know, right? The flight is scheduled maybe in the 700 or the 800, and you're going to fly the MAX 8, which is totally fine. That's acceptable with per our SOP. But yeah, so we did add that aircraft drop down, and this whole page is definitely new to the website. We didn't have anything like it before, so we can see our dispatch release. I'm not going to re-request it just because I don't want to mess up my current flight, but we
Yeah.
could, we could request it. Are you sure? Yes. In terms of the performance, landing and or takeoff and landing performance, this is very similar to how it works in LUVCARS. I do think to clear up any confusion, you still have to do this inside of LUVCARS because that data does not get loaded automatically. So
Oh,
if you
okay.
do request performance on the website, it's really just so that you can do it on an iPad, you can do it on another device and not have to necessarily look at LUVCARS, but you still have to do it in LUVCARS in order for Rachel and all that to work correctly. But yeah, so we could come in here and say, and if you do any changes in here, like if you're like, I don't want to do 4 right, I want to do 3-1 center or bleeds off, that doesn't affect LUVCARS. It's like totally independent.
Oh, okay.
So you can run different scenarios in here. And the nice thing too is you can do the dispatch, you can do all of this before you even start the sim, right? You don't have to be in the sim to do this dispatch, which I know a lot of people wanted to have the ability to request dispatch and get their performance information before they opened up the sim. So this allows them to do that, right? And so I just request the takeoff performance, and we have our takeoff numbers. And this would be the same as if I did it inside LUVCARS.
Dang, that's nice. And this has full sim brief integration, right?
Correct. Yes, it has full sim brief integration. So any any settings that you have in SimBrief or any of our specific Southwest profiles automatically get loaded in when you request it through our website.
Hell yeah, that's nice. That's something I always like, the integration with SimBrief. That's like a necessity for me. So it's cool that you guys still have that with
Yeah.
this website. So let's go over to the logbook, and take a look at, I guess, the main part about the logbook that I want to, talk about is the whole new virtual currency that we have here at Southwest Virtual Airlines.
Yes.
So let's, doesn't matter whatever flight, but let's just talk about the virtual currency here now that we're adding that to the new website, and then also, statistics and everything shown here.
Yeah, so I just clicked this flight that I did today from LaGuardia to Midway. So I've been with the VA since the very beginning, so my pay rate, so to speak, is pretty high. I think it's the highest you can go. Depending on your rank, you're either grouped in as a first officer. Your rank could be um, like senior first officer or first officer, or there's different flavors of first officer, and likewise of captain. So depending on your rank, you're either paid as a FO or as a captain, and then depending on how long you've been with the VA, dictates your pay rate. I won't go into all the details there. It'll be in our SOP. But you can see here that I flew from LaGuardia to Midway. We see the scheduled time was 11:20. I actually left early, 20 minutes early. The passengers did not complain. Um, my block time was 2 hours and 14 minutes. This was the tail number that I flew. I flew it in the 700. And then we see here the overfly and credit. So overfly would be as if I had any extra time on the ground or any extra time in the air than the scheduled time. I did not. I did it actually in less than that. And then the credit would be taking into account for how our pilots, like real pilots at Southwest, get paid. It's based on distance. It's not necessarily time. And I won't get into all that today. Again, that'll be in the SOP. But for this flight, I had a TFP, trips repair credit of 2. And the pay rate, again, it's a pretty high pay rate, 364 per TFP. So based on math, 2 times 364 is 728. So I would have made $728 real world if I were a 12-year captain at Southwest, which I am a 17-year captain at Southwest Virtual. So it works
Okay.
out pretty well.
Yeah,
And
for
then
for you.
and then
Jeez,
on the
over a year
bottom
in bank.
here, yeah, on the bottom here we see our fuel consumption, and if I scroll along this graph, you'll actually see the plane icon move around, so we can see, okay, like if we do the altitude, for example, we can like zoom in and see, okay, and we could even like zoom in here,
Oh, I did not know you can zoom in. That's cool.
yeah, and then see like, okay, like where was I, when this happened? So you can see maybe I touched down a little later than I wanted to. But but anyway, yeah, no, it's really cool, and you can do this. And the one thing we're gonna add in here is the ability for information to pop out. So like when you do touchdown, like where exactly is that on the map? There'll be like a little marker that will probably be somewhere over here, and you'll be able to click on it, then see your G-force, your landing rate, things like that,
Oh
because we
yeah,
don't
that's
have that
helpful.
quite yet. But yeah, otherwise, again, this is really just we wanted to clean it up. New colors, new map, have it more interactive, not have so much information where it's overwhelming, but enough where you can get a quick feel for how did the flight go. And then the other thing that we added in too now is deadheading, so that if you are, for example, I was last in Cancun before I flew from LaGuardia to Midway, and in the settings I have it so that it automatically does the deadhead. So I actually deadheaded from Cancun to Houston, Houston LaGuardia, to pick up this trip from LaGuardia to Midway.
Oh shoot. So you don't even really have to fly those legs. It just automatically does it for you. That's cool.
Yeah, yep. If you have the setting checked, it will automatically put those deadheads in for you.
That's real nice. All right, let's go over to stats. Let's check out your stats, Ryan. This is gonna be insane. Um, but yeah, let's just yep, and there it is, right there. Oh
Yeah,
my
so these are
goodness.
yeah, these are all the legs I've flown over the last 17 years. There's quite a few.
Yeah, no
And
kidding.
then below here we have all the different stats. So, total flights, hours, last flight income, my average landing rate. That looks like that went up a little bit. I think the last time I saw it, it was minus 207.8. My worst landing rate, I don't want to know when that was. My best landing rate, most flown aircraft. Apparently, 5% of the time I'm going to have a health report, and most of the time my landing rate is within the acceptable range.
Okay, there we go.
99.4%. Yeah, and I'm sure there'll be more stats that we add to this as time goes on. Now that we're tracking money, we're tracking the TFP, and again, the TFP is how pilots at Southwest are paid. Real world Southwest is paid. Um, and we have additional parameters too that we're capturing. I'm sure there'll be more stats that we start to display on here, or we display as a company whole. Top 5 pilots, things like that.
Sweet. So we'll skip over settings unless you want to talk about settings. I don't really think there's anything too special there. But
Um, I mean, the only thing I guess would be is as far as the settings go. I mean, you can change your password, like you could on the current website. You can transfer bases. You can request a leave of absence. The one thing we did with the leave of absence is going forward, whether you need a 10-day, a 50-day, or a 90-day leave of absence, everything is being treated as a 90-day leave of absence. It just makes it a lot easier for the management team at the VA, so that there's no guesswork. Everyone's going on the same duration, and if you want to come off it earlier than that, like let's say you really only needed the 10 days, but you got a 90-day automatically. If I fill out this form and my LOA gets approved, I have the option at any time to come back from it, and I can just, with a click of a button, just return back from LOA, or you can email your chief pilot. But otherwise, the settings here are similar to what's in LUVCARS, like your SimBrief username and your time zone. And then these are some of the other features that I had mentioned, like automatically deadhead. That's if I uncheck that, I won't have the deadhead options in the
oh, there it
logbook.
is. Okay, good to know.
The one thing for the trips, I don't know if we mentioned it, but like if we go to the calendar, so if I don't fly this trip, the system is automatically going to reassign it for me. Um, it started in LaGuardia, it's ending in Nashville, so it will. I mean, I've already started flying. This gets kind of complicated, but I've already started flying this trip, so this isn't going to really do what I'm saying it's going to do. But if I had not flown this trip at all, this thing would actually get reassigned multiple times until I either fly it, start flying it, or I delete it. If I don't want that to happen, then I'll have this automatically reassign trips unselected.
And then it would just stay at the current date or the date that you selected it.
Yeah, it would
For flight.
stay like this unless the day has gone. Like, so anything that's in the past that hasn't flown, like let's say I didn't fly this at all, it would
Mm-hmm.
automatically get deleted within a day no matter what. So the
Oh,
idea is
okay.
that anything that's in the past is either flown or it gets deleted. So like, see this I actually flew because it said late. But anyway, we should talk about the roster for a hot minute. I think
Okay,
so.
let's do that. Yeah. So let's talk about the roster.
All right, so on the roster, the one thing that we did a little differently on the new website, on the current website, you have the roster here, and this is publicly accessible, so anyone can see this. But one of the things in the past you weren't able to do was view the specific flights of other pilots. So now you can. So if I come in here, I can see anyone. Oh, there's Rachel. Um, so if I click on
No
mine, for
way,
example,
Rachel's added. That's actually funny.
Rachel's got a
Oh
pilot
my
account apparently.
gosh.
She's probably going to get a termination warning if she doesn't fly.
Oh no.
Actually, she's probably the most active in the VA because she
Yeah,
flies all
well,
the time, right?
yeah, right. Yeah, with everybody. Oh my gosh.
So yeah, if I come in, I won't click my name. I'll click on Kevin's, for example. Okay, so yeah, so I clicked on Kevin's profile here, and one of the things that we can do now is we can actually not only can we look at our own flights, but we can look at our fellow pilots' flights as well. So I can click in here and I can see, okay, so Kevin, Kevin was one of our founders as well, so it only makes sense that his pay rate is just as high as mine. So we see how much money he earned on this trip. We see, how long it took him to fly, and then we can also track his stats as well, just like we can track our own stats for the flight. And again, we'll have it so that we'll be able to see, where did he land on the runway? What was the G-force and those sort of things. Yeah, so I think that's really cool too. And then also we also added in this pilot badge,
Yeah,
which
that's cool.
looks pretty cool. Yep, and then we also see their stats too on the right side, the flights that they've flown and any awards that they have. So again, we're trying to make this more interactive, so everything's concise in one spot, everything's together, it's easy to find things, and it's really it's bringing in all these different aspects of the community into one area.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the pilot badge. I like that. It's pretty creative. But yeah, I appreciate you for answering all my questions and giving the audience and Southwest Virtual Airlines people what they want. And glad to get everybody excited for the new website.
Yeah, no, I was happy to answer all the questions that you had. Happy to showcase what we've done so far with the website, and I'm really excited for people to try it out June 1st. And it's going to take a little getting used to, but just like with Love Cars 5, the pilots got hooked. I think with this new website, the pilots are going to get hooked with the new website, and it's really exciting time of the VA.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you again. We appreciate your work a lot. And yeah, we'll see you again.
Sounds good. We'll see you.